Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific. This one, it is the Blues versus Moana Pasifika. Now, last year, we saw Moana get themselves the victory over the Blues. This year, it sounds like it's going to be different. Eden Park, Blues fired up for this game and hopefully get a fast-paced back and forth kind of match. Looking at the way that the table sits currently, the Blues are sitting there in 5th, whereas Moana Pasifika are down in 11th. So whoever wins this game will make up a little bit of ground. The Blues can potentially finish really as high as, I'd say, 2nd place is realistic if they get themselves a bonus point here, whereas for Moana, as high as they can go as 10th, going ahead of the Western Force, although maybe sneaking above the Drua, they get themselves a bonus point victory from this game. As well, looking through at the starting lineups, first of all, for the Blues, it is Ofa Toingafasi, Kurt Eklund, and Marcel Renata in the front, Josh Berry and Sam Derry in the locking duo. Still no Lachlan McWanna or Tui Pilotu this department for the Blues. Anton Segner back in the number 6 jersey alongside Dalton Papali'i and Hoskins Atutu there. At number 8, Sam Nock and Bowden Barrett as that 9 and 10 combination. Now, Barrett did actually, I believe, start that last contest when he was going to be making his way off the bench, so a second start for Barrett here, but he now partners with Sam Nock. Caleb Clarke is in some insane try-scoring form. It only took him one to be able to then find his rhythm, but since then he got himself a hat-trick last week. Looking to build upon it in this game as well. Taeli in the midfield alongside Lamb, Cody Vai out on the right wing, and then Cole Forbes as that number 15 for Moana Pasifika in the front row. It is Tito Tui Pilotu, Sana Revi, and Sam Molly as the starting number 3, Atu Molly, I should say, the ex-All Black, starting in and getting that chance at tight here. Prop Tom Savage alongside Alan Craig in the locking duo. Miracle Whailangi, Samisi Paia, and Samisi Tupotailoa. That is the loose forward trio we have seen them go to time and time again for Moana. Miracle Whailangi hoping to lead this game from the front, that captaincy for himself. Augustine Pulu and Patrick Pellegrini as that 9 and 10 combination. Glenn Vaihu, he was a bit of an impact player in last week's contest for Moana. We did see Lalomilo, and also Latu as the midfielders. Then Taveta Offa out on the right wing, and the return of William Harveli after taking that nasty knock to his head and neck in a game a few weeks ago. He is now returning to that number 15 jersey. But those are the starting lineups for this game, ladies and gentlemen. It should be an eventful matchup at Eden Park. Been a lot of hype up around this matchup in terms of the rivalry and in terms of how these two sides feel about each other. But Caleb Clarke, he mentioned before the game, he is thoroughly excited to go head-to-head with Moana. It is nice and warm in Auckland, 22 degrees Celsius, 13 kilometres of wind. So not a massive amount to deal with there. That should be exciting. Nonetheless, we have got there, how is New Zealand Sevens doing? They are playing off for 5th place semis in their game up against Great Britain at 4 a.m. this morning. They did lose their opening contest to South Africa. They lost to the Australians, but then they did pull off the victory over the French. But it does mean that they will be playing up against Team GB. Blues by 35 is Kiwi Rod's predictions, and also the Blues to get the win from Melly. And there too, these two sides just now making their way out of the tunnel. A few decent players off of the bench on both sides for the Blues. They have got that option of Peter Aki, who has been starting a majority of the game. Zahn Sullivan, a little bit the same about the women's sevens. They are playing in the semi-final up against the USA. On the other side, we've got a little bit of a change in the women's sevens department, and that is going to be Australia versus Fiji. So the Fijiana side doing nicely throughout the competition. Just showing here for Atu Molly. He's had 63 Super Rugby appearances, 4 matches for the All Blacks. Now gets the chance for Moana here, making his debut for this side. Dalton Papali'i, though, looking to lead this Blues side from the front. Get them another win. The overall standings, looking at the Blues form, they did lose to the Chiefs in the opening contest, 19 points to 15. They were then able to beat the Force, 42-32. They lost to the Brumbies, but then beating the Crusaders. So it's been one of those interesting seasons so far for the Blues, how they've had a close loss, then a decent-sized victory, close loss, decent size. So by that logic, it's not a good trend if it does continue, because that would mean a close loss here at Eden Park in front of the home crowd. But they are coming in as heavy favourites here, the Blues, so of course that will be far from their mind. Plus, what we saw last game between the Chiefs and Moana, 57-24. There have been talks about whether or not they would use similar tactics the Blues for this week. James Dolman, he will be in charge. Glenn Newman as his TMO. We've also seen Moana either get themselves that solid first victory over the Fijian draw or lose by relatively hefty margin. The closest game has been 16 points separating them and their opposition. That was up against the Western Force, a game that they were really tipped to be able to win. Couldn't get the job done, but this one is now underway, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be kicked off long and taken from inside of the 22 by Moana Pasifika. Don't jinx us, Hamish, says Kiwi Rob. The thing is, it was very close last year, and that was one of the best performances we have seen from Moana in terms of just digging deep and trying to find a way. The question is, have they got it in them again here? Can I ask when the New Zealand Women's Sevens play? They play at 6:10 a.m. or 6:12 a.m. to be exact, and that is going to be up against the US. Like I mentioned, we are going to be doing the commentary on the channel alongside the other semi-finals of the competition. Now ready to throw this one. Kurt Auckland just inside of their own half here, the Blues. And waiting patiently for that throw to Anton Segner at the back. Knock goes across to Bowden Barrett. Are the New Zealand men's team doing bad? Really bad. At the moment, they have gone from fighting for third to probably, getting fourth or fifth, I would say, in the overall rankings. But you have to remember that Moana had Artie. That is true. Artie Savia having a massive turnover near the end of that game. The side still seem to have that little bit of passion in them. There were the talks of whether or not they would be able to perform without Savia, and then they came out in Fiji for that very first contest and played one of the better games we've seen from Moana in recent times. A clearing kick from Patrick Pellegrini from inside of his 22. Another line-out here for the Blues. At the moment, they are sitting with 83% accuracy for the line-out department. Any more games you're streaming tonight? We have got the New Zealand versus South Africa T20. That is going to be taking place at around 7:15 p.m. Well, that ball dropped backwards. Dalton Papali'i, though. Good low tackle made there as well, but the penalty is going to be awarded. And the Blues now a choice. Do they want three early or do they go for the corner? I think they will go aggressive right from the get-go here. And I Hamish House things says, Big Rig doing all right. I managed to sneak, I think it was probably about 90 minutes of sleep. And that's what we're going to be running off until tomorrow. But they have gone back to back to back. Losses against the Drua, or after the Drua game. Says Kiwi Rob, that is true, but that doesn't take away the win up against the Fijian Drua. I mean, you look at a side like the Crusaders, they have gone, they went back to back to back losses to then get themselves a massive one in the most recent meeting up against the Highlanders. They were able to beat the Chiefs as well. So sometimes it's just about momentum and leaps and bounds in this competition, how quickly it can change week in, week out. But I definitely wouldn't say that Moana are going to be out of this game because of 3 losses in a row. As, once again, the history of the competition shows you can lose 3 and then go on a bit of a streak. But it will take a monumental effort from Moana. Now running forward, Dalton Papali'i offloads to Anton Segner, 5 metres out from the line. Knock looking short side, tries to snipe through and manages to get over the line. Knock scores the first try of the contest for this Blues side. Did you see petrol going up? Isn't it already, or is it going up again? Still bummed out that England threw that match away against France. I don't know if they threw it away, though. Like, they shouldn't have gone for the kick when they did, near the end of the contest. But at the same time, they still got much closer than anyone thought that they were going to in that match. And I think that's what hurts more. And it's actually probably made the rivalry between England and Ireland even that little bit stronger than it was beforehand. But, I mean, if anyone's going to nail a kick later on in a game, it's Thomas Ramos. Oh, well, first of all, game of the year. And second of all, I really feel for Steve Borthwick in England. See, he seemed in high spirits after the game, which is good to see. But, yeah, he was kind of saying, like last year, we beat them by 1 point right at the end. The year prior to that, they beat us by 2 points right at the end. So, like he said, as much as it's a sucky result, it's not the end of the world for England. And they also played a lot better than they have been throughout some of their other games. Hitting the post there, Bowden Barrett. So we'll keep the score sitting at 5-0 in favour of the Blues. But a quick fire start from Knock. Gets himself some starting minutes here ahead of Finlay Christie. And just sneaking through. But at least Wales got win and Italy ended up 4th. Says Jasmine. Yeah, that is true. It's been a big tournament for the Italians. And Wales to have 1 win, I think, also just shows how close the Six Nations was as a whole. I say kicking the ball away with 90 seconds left, 1 point ahead. The extra man was throwing it away. So here's Big Rig. Yeah, I think they knew that France were going to get a penalty. So they wanted to make it difficult. It sounds weird to say, and it's quite a negative way of thinking, but it just seemed like for England, they knew that where they were on the field, if France got the ball, they were winning the game. So they thought, right, we just have to get this one downfield. They should have actually just gone back into the pocket and absolutely sent it downfield, though. But then the counter-attack of the French with Louis Bielbiaré, he had already scored 4 tries at that stage, so you pretty much gift him an attacking opportunity. So, yeah, I don't think England trusted themselves to go 90 seconds with phases. That's 4 losses in a row. Officially the worst Six Nations result in England history. But the Six Nations is not the World Cup. So let's see where England goes here, says Tanner. I think if South Africa, or England beats South Africa, then they have officially bounced back. If they lose again, it'll be a real bad slump, although not many sides are anticipated to go to South Africa and then win. Definitely not in the July internationals. And I mentioned about how, Rassi is a smart man. He's got a warm-up game planned up against the Barbarians beforehand, and that's not by mistake. That's so that they can have one game where they've gelled before facing the English, similar to what we saw last year as well, but now grab it in behind. Running down the wing, Patrick Pellegrini has to come back and cover. And that one's gone into Dutch. You don't travel 8,000 miles to lose. Well, just ask Wales, unfortunately for them. They've done a lot of travelling for a lot of losing throughout recent times. William Havili, this is his 52nd match of his career. He scored 10 tries throughout. It's great to see him back so early after that nasty knock to the back of the head. And South Africa says the Sporting Kiwi. Who do you think the Blues beat, or do you think the Blues beat the Tars next weekend? It's an intriguing one because it is going to be the home game for the Tars, isn't it? But then the Tars didn't perform up against the Hurricanes in the way that we thought they would. Hey, Wales won today, but they won at home, didn't they? I hope both Wales and England get their spine back for the Rugby World Cup 2027, says Big Rig. And that one's going to be not coming out there for the Blues. Nice work from Tom Savage to get through the middle of that maul. Stop it from moving anywhere. So Moana will have themselves the scrum feed just outside of their own 22. And heck, they play each other in it, says Big Rig. And congrats, France. They won the Six Nations. But yeah, still haven't had haven't won a World Cup. Do they put more effort into the Six Nations than the World Cup? I think it's just the fact that it doesn't happen as often, the World Cup. So France, since that last Rugby World Cup, I believe they've won 2 of the 3 Six Nations comps, haven't they? So you just look at it as decent form in between. Moana Pasifika have a pack weight of 921. Blues have a pack weight of 916. So a couple big forward packs for these two teams. Now, this one going to be out the back. Augustine Pulu goes away to the left-hand side. William Havili facing backwards. Here's Glenn Vaihu. Really able to cut through that Chiefs side last week, although he's been picked up and driven into touch with some great work from Taeli. They want to take it quickly there. Bowden Barrett decides against it now. Oh, Bowden Barrett actually does decide to take that one quickly. So waiting about the latest possible to be able to chuck this one in. Now Caleb Clark trying to cut inwards. First man getting in there and penalty to Moana Pasifika. So a bit of a mistake there from the Blues going quickly. Who does the women play in the semi? They play USA. The ball carrier holding on. Penalty won there by Samisi Paya. You see it there, Caleb Clark just got the pass a little bit high to him. Then got smashed hard. And jumping straight in, Samisi Paya over the ball quickly. And managed to get aside the penalty. And that's where Moana have to stay close in this game. As soon as they drift behind, they're probably not going to mount a comeback. If they can get themselves just close enough to be in it for the last 20 minutes, then that's when it gets really intriguing. Between these two sides thrown in, that one was a very nice line out if you were the Blues jumpers, as it got thrown straight to Sam Derry. Now Blues with the backline movement, quick hands from, I believe that would have been Taeli in the midfield. Now Cole Forbes going for the chip in behind. Cody Vai chasing after it. Great cover from Augustine Pulu. Just runs that one into touch. To Potailoa. I probably butchered his name as like Billy Vanapola. Maybe we need That's one of those, says Tanner too. Yeah, he was a possible bolter, people were saying, for the New Zealand side. I think he also does have the potential of playing for Samoa, I want to say, is his other team that he has got the potential option of going to. But, yeah, very physical number 8. And will just throw himself into the breakdowns, carries the ball hard, scores a lot of tries as well. He was thoroughly impressive throughout last year. Realise I've got an antenna. I don't know how that's happened. There we go. We've turned the Wi-Fi signal down. Hoskins the 2-2 here, about 15 metres out from the Moana Pasifika line. Sam Nock looking short side to Marcel Renata. Nock goes left to Kurt Eklund. Defence of Moana holding strong for now, with the exception of that early try from Sam Nock, but Segner putting phases together now for the Blues. Nice shuffle there from Lamb. He's actually playing that number 13 jersey for this match. Some prefer him at 12, but he doesn't get as many chances. Definitely not with Peter Aki as well as now Taeli in that equation. Now Josh Berry gets out a little bit further forward. Looking forward to the South African tour. We need a consistent goal kicker. So who would that be in your opinion, Stuart? Out of curiosity. Bowden Barrett. Whoa, that was a wild pass. It looked like it was going forward. But it is going to be a knock-on from Moana Pasifika. And will now be the scrum feed for the Blues. But Bowden trying to fire the bullet pass out to Clark. And let's see the replay of it now. Yeah, it was close to a forward pass from Bowden, but they have taken the knock-on instead from William Arvilli. That was a genuine attempt, says Kiwi Rob there. Yeah, so it does just get the knock-on against him. Wasn't, says Kiwi Rob. It was also a forward pass from Bowden Barrett, though, so they could have looked at that before the knockdown. So I think the Blues will be happy enough with the scrum here. And they are still in a very good attacking position on the field too, so more than likely a big move coming. They have got Cody Vice situated way out on the right wing, and about 5 men right next to the scrum. And almost like a kind of formation here. It went backwards, says Kiwi Rob. It didn't, though. From the other angle, it showed that Bowden did, unfortunately, not quite wrap that one around towards Clark. 12 minutes in, Sam Nock ready to scrum feed this one. He might even go for the piercing run himself. They could look at short side here, the Blues. They would have Clark as the backup option there. Not a lot of space to work with, but it might also be a gap that Moana aren't completely defending, as they'll be expecting the wide backline movement. Currently, the Blues all bunched. 5 players all waiting for this move. It's kind of 2 players up front. Then I believe it is Taeli and AJ Lamb, and then Bowden Barrett situated right behind the scrum, Caleb Clark, and then also Cole Forbes as the second line that the scrum could use. Right, it goes to Caleb Clark as first receiver, runs it straight up to the 5 metre line. Nock now going right. It's a drop ball. It's gone backwards from Josh Berry. To play on is the call. Oh, AJ Lamb has to play halfback, gets in there. Now that almost looked like another knock on there, but I think he's managed to gather that one just before hitting the ground off a Tonga Fasi. Tackled low by Tito Tuipilotu. Now Nock, another piercing run from him. Tackled low by Craig Hoskins, a 2-2 pick and go. This seems to be the tactic from the Blues, although a little bit isolated. And an advantage going against Moana. I've deleted basically every file on my tablet, but it says I've used up, I assume that's used up all your space, right? How many gigabytes does your tablet have? Little kick him behind, Bowden Barrett. Oh, collision there. Miracle Whaialangi. Actually almost getting tackled by his teammate, but they will go back for the initial penalty advantage in favour of the Blues. Could have also gone for that 5 metre scrum, but I believe it looks like they are looking to maybe either go line out or scrum on the other side. Used up 83% of my storage. Any advice? Is it a Samsung tablet or an Apple? I guess it would be Samsung, right? Or is it another brand? Because there's that, what is it called? The catch or something like that. That seems to hold a lot of space. But then I always worry about deleting that, because then you feel like you're going to delete something that you don't want to. Samsung indeed, says the Sporting Kiwi. But yeah, I'd say it will be hidden somewhere. Like similar to with an Apple device, how when you delete like videos and photos and everything, it's still when you recently deleted and still uses up space. So it might be similar to that maybe. Hey Hamish, did you see the Six Nations finale? We certainly did. We covered it on the channel. What an incredible finish to what has been an incredible competition. Heartbreak for the English in that game. Heartbreak for the Irish as well, but absolutely massive for the French. That will be the penalty awarded to Moana Pasifika at scrum time here. And Atu Mole managing to win that one up against Ofatuanga Fasi. As Malachi Rappling, it's Malachi Rappling's debut. I've been waiting for this guy for a long time. Yeah, big opportunity in that number 20 jersey. Hopefully they give him more than a couple minutes at the end. Because, you know, the amount of debuts that we have seen where they go, oh, well, have a little run round for a couple seconds. We have got their fair question. I like Beauden Barrett at number 10. But he needs to ideally approach an 80% kicking success rate. I think Beauden still has another World Cup in him. Cheers. Says Stuart. And yeah, if he has a good Super Rugby season, that's the thing. Rennie's said that he's going off form. Oh, big run from Tupo Taialoa, making about 40 metres there for Moana. But yeah, if Beauden has a big season of Super Rugby, Pellegrini right in the middle. Every time I try and talk about Beauden Barrett, we keep on seeing a line break from Moana, but the ball's been taken back by the Blues. That was high on Sam Knock. Got him round the head. Double blow of the whistle, and Augustine Pulu, he will be sent to the bin. He is apologising to Sam Knock for that one. Right, yellow card, off-field review. And Joe Big Riggs says the Sporting Kiwi. And red card says Kiwi Rob. It is at least a yellow. They are going to be checking it in the bunker side of things. But a brilliant line break initially, but great steal from Taeli to then get that offload away to Knock. Yeah, it does come in with the arm. Bit too high, Augustine Pulu. It doesn't look good from that angle. Both Auckland teams says viral shorts. And Golden Point would have won them today, says Big Rig. Do you know what the worst thing is? As soon as I ended that France versus England stream, I had a little think about it, about different moments in that game. And you know the one that came to mind straight away that I maybe went on a bit too much about? That Ollie Chisholm try, not running it round to make it an easier kick. That would have drawed them the game. If he had, rather than getting caught up in the moment, had just thought about it that little bit more, drifted in. Of course, you could also argue that if they had kicked any of the other ones over, then that would have made the difference as well. He didn't even try to go low. We over there, Kiwi Rob. I'm going for your team, Moana. Oh, tell you what, Matthew, you would have offended him with that statement. We have got the I'm a Blues supporter, says Kiwi Rob. All right, Sam Knock has made his way back on, or back up to his feet, but he will have to go off for an HIA here. Hindsight is 2020, it is. But I did think at the time that was a weird moment. Both teams' defence have a lot of explaining to do. It was quite funny because they interviewed the French defence coach, and he was kind of like, oh yeah, we see the moment there, Augustine Pulu going over to Sam Knock as well, just checking on him. Nice moment there from the man to get sent to the bin. But yeah, they were talking to France's defence coach, and he kind of said, listen, like, you know, both of these sides conceded a lot of points. But he said Super Rugby, you see it all the time, that there are sides conceding that many. He said all around the world, you see it. Last year, he used the example of New Zealand and Australia. Had a whole heap of points. And not what the crowd said, says Matthew. And yes, so that certainly supports Eddie Jones saying England lack emotional control, says Tanner too. Mapulu, he will be off the field for at least another 9 minutes of this game. Rolling maul here for the Blues. Kurt Eklund breaking off left-hand side, almost getting that ball with Patrick Pellegrini. In fact, he has. Kind of looked like he might have knocked it on initially. And in fact, that is going to be the call from James Dolman. Our French defence coach should be the only Frenchman in the world not happy with the result, says Big Rig. Yeah, but he seemed happy enough. He reminded everyone that was his 7th Six Nations title as well. He's 100% right. How many stupid discipline penalties and push shoves we've seen England do, says Big Rig. Yeah. I get the playing with emotion and getting fired up in the game, but you also still have to sometimes think about what you're doing. Like, that's where Ramos almost cost himself in that game because he got annoyed with Henry Pollock and he pushed him after the French managed to get themselves the ball. But like those type of things, if a referee's not feeling generous, he will penalise you for. And that could have been another turning point in the game had it gone that other way. You have to win too, says Big Rig. Also, the ref did not make the French get a move on with the penalty right at the end of the game. Effectively, that result was controversial, says George. Yeah, although that was the weird thing about it was Maro Itoje kept on getting in the players' faces. I get that he was the captain. All Caleb Clark almost going through with another run there for the Blues. But I think that the referee, he only really let Ramos start taking the kick when Itoje kind of got back and out of the way. Because, yeah, it was the weird situation how he kept on going up, trying to either talk to the referee or talking to one of the French players as if to say, hey, please, can you take that penalty back? Because I didn't want to give it away. But, yeah, it was strange. Oh, good hands from Cole Forbes. Ball's still going to be there for the Blues. Grubber on the short side, waiting for the bounce of the ball. Oh, the one who's on the fireworks or on the fire cannons behind the try line. He was a bit early with that. He actually let them off before AJ Lamb had got himself the grounding. It's not Glenn Newman. Well, it's not Red. Glenn Newman and James Dolman need to hand their referee cards in, says Kiwi Rob. I think we should have you refereeing every single game, Kiwi Rob. I think that would be a good idea. He was highly emotional because he knew they'd just lost the game, says Big Rig. And Itoje was arguing all sorts of nonsense, much to Eddie's point. Good afternoon, Hamish just joined. What have I missed? So far, the Blues, they have just got themselves their second try with AJ Lamb managing to score it. Yeah, I agree with him. I definitely feel that happens with them, especially when they win the moments they celebrate because that adrenaline can tire you out. Just to add, really appreciate your coverage of the game, says Stuart. And yeah, it is greatly appreciated you guys all tuning in for these streams. I don't even want to do the calculations of what hour this would be in terms of the weekend of streaming. We'd have to be up to around maybe 13, 14, maybe even more hours. Still got plenty more coming up later on. We've got the sevens happening just around the corner, as well as that T20 matchup between the Black Caps and South Africa. I'm hoping that I won't fall asleep during it, not because it is cricket, but more so because I've run off about probably 3 hours sleep, maybe, if I'm lucky, since Friday. And AJ Lamb, good finish there. Now 10-0 for the Blues. The kick is missed from Beauden Barrett, but still in a good position on the field with the man advantage. Trying to just keep those ones ticking over. People that complain about the refs should become the refs themselves. I did mention that one time when someone kept on going on about how bad the referees were doing. They didn't really say much after that when I said, oh, well, you've got to go to refereeing school and commit to it full time, and then eventually, you'll be able to make the right calls. But the refs, they're only human. The players make mistakes. We see professional rugby players dropping the ball 15 times a game. Of course, every once in a while, a referee in quick-fire moments where you only have a split second to make a decision, there are going to be the occasional ones that go the wrong way. But that's just life. Players are going to make wrong decisions when they're looking for the pass. But, yeah, it's not a fun job to be a referee, I can tell you that right now. No one, I think, would be standing up to do that job unless they absolutely love it. And we have got there, the ref is also curiously fine as soon as the correct team is winning, says Big Rig. Nice take there from Moana Pasifika, Patrick Pellegrini, trying to get through two men, but that's not going to work out for him. France and England was a good game to decide the Six Nations. Ramos has ice in his veins. Yeah, that was a phenomenal kick from that man. To be in that scenario, anyone else, maybe we would have seen a little bit of nerves, but he just stood there, no emotion, kicked it over like he would every other game, and finished it off. Now on the halfway line, Moana with the ball in hand, 4 minutes remaining. The Augustine Pulu yellow card, that is if it doesn't get upgraded to red, in which case that would be a 20-minute one. Now's the day to try Pepsi Max, Hamish. You need the caffeine, says Big Rig. Yeah. Although, surprisingly, I'm not that tired yet. Maybe after the cricket, I'll start to feel it that little bit more, or during the cricket, I would say, depending on how high scoring of a game. In fact, does anyone know what the weather's supposed to do at Mount Maunganui or at the Bay Oval for today? Hopefully it's not supposed to rain. That would actually be really bad news. But it is sunny at the moment in Auckland. So, yeah, 21 degrees, no chance of rain. That's good news. Because else then that would have been a really unfortunate one if there was some sort of rain delay. On left-hand side, Alan Craig up to the halfway again here. Not a lot of meters being made by Moana, but they put together 10 phases for the first time in this contest. Tavita Offa receives the inside ball, breaks through the tackle with Tafafu Naki. Beauden Barrett makes the low tackle. Now loose ball picked up by Forbes. And the ball's back for the Blues. Loose scramble at the moment. Seems to be where the Blues are really showing that little bit more arsehole. Kicked out on the full, though, from the Blues for Taeli. I'll go right back to where that one was kicked from. Come on, Moana, says Josiah there. See it there. Taveta Offa just getting through that tackle attempt to Josh Berry, but Bowden Barrett was cool, calm, and collected under pressure to make that tackle and shut down Moana's attack and move. Taeli, he's actually got a really big boot. Showed it there, but just got a little bit of the angle wrong. Was looking for the 50-22 as Moana didn't have anyone back covering. Marcus Smith should have been the one who should have had the kicking duties since he was more accurate with the boot, says George. Yeah, although they waited a wee while to bring him out there onto the field, didn't they, for Marcus Smith? When did he make his way on? 65 minutes or somewhere around there, or was it a little bit before that? Moana told to use it. Now trying to break away was Millennium Sanarevi. Now Pellegrini plays half. It'll be Latu and number 13. If Moana can score before this yellow card is finished for themselves, playing with 14 on the field, that would be thoroughly impressive. Now Savage, although onto the ball, lightning quick. Sam Derry, how's he not won the penalty there? He looks to the referee and asks the question, which he's probably got a reasonable argument there. It looked like he was locked over the ball for quite some time. And it's still Moana Pasifika's ball. It's going to be that player who can break through. It could be Pellegrini. We've seen what he can do before. Going off left-hand side now. The big fend from Latu. About 15 metres out from the try line. Come on, Moana. Says Josiah. Now short side, Pellegrini. That was an interesting choice. I think he was trying to milk an offside penalty, and that hasn't worked out. Right, the decision is coming up for the card. It's confirmed. Says Vic. And also, let's go Moana's form. Or from Kiwi Rob, says Matthew. Okay, the yellow card is going to be upgraded to a 20-minute red card, which means Augustine Pulu will not be able to continue in this game. You can see the frustration and the disappointment from that man. He'll be off the field for another 11 minutes. See there, Julian Savia, Jackson Garden Bishop, a few of the guys who are running drinks in this game. We see it there, though. It's the swinging arm to the jaw of Sam Nock, who is yet to return out there on the field. And come on, Kakas Patana, says Shane. Time is now turned back on. But yeah, I think Pellegrini was trying to get that penalty for offside, short side, but just get bundled into touch. Taufafunaki goes across to Hoskins Satutu. 25 minutes into this game, the Blues still leading 10 points to 0. Now Funaki, that was close to the fingertips of Alan Craig. He has gone high with it, and it's going to be slapped back by Cody Vi. Goes into touch. And Moana now will have themselves the line out. And we're over there. Come on, Moana, says Josiah. Okay, they're just saying about how Moana will try and camp down here inside of the Blues 22, eventually work their way over the try line. Patrick Pellegrini will, of course, if they do get a try, want to make sure that that conversion goes over, as those extra points could be very crucial, definitely with how close these two sides were in last year's game. Been told to use it once. Millennium Sanarevi is just going to leave it for Patrick Pellegrini, who has been playing as that halfback role since we did see Augustine Pulu make his way off. Now Tom Savage. Now 15 out. Pellegrini again. Oh, pops it off to Artu Molly, who bumps off Anton Siegner. I think Zach Gallagher was a very big loss. He seemed to have that Peter Steph-Toy mindset. Have no regard for your body, says Tanner. Yeah, there's been some great players who have gone overseas in recent times. Atu Molly's not one of them, as he scores for Moana Pasifika. Or is it? No, it's Millennium Sanarevi, in fact, who has managed to get over the line there. Dalton talking to Dolman, saying that there was something wrong with that one. But a great way of answering back when you just find out you got yourself a red card for your team. And come out there, Moana fired up. They managed to get that try. And try, says Josiah. We're going to see the run from Lalomilo, initially luring in 3 players. And then from there, Glenn Vaihu. okay. I think Dalton was complaining about a player who was running back on side, I thought it was, but I looked at that replay from the other angle and I didn't actually see that guy. It was a weird one. It looked like there was going to be some obstruction from one angle, and then the other angle, maybe he was behind the post. Because, yeah, you didn't see the Moana guy. Akirov loves that try for Moana. I just realised Lamb isn't starting. See his big rig? Is he not at 13, AJ Lamb? Or are we talking about Joel Lamb, maybe? And yeah, I believe AJ Lamb is at 13 with Taeli at 12. Although I could be wrong. And knew they could cross that try line, just got to keep believing, and the kick has gone over too, so making the score 10-7. Joel Lamb says big rig. And there you so he will be off of the bench, and more than likely will make his way on in about 9 minutes' time. Too many Lamb says big rig. A kick downfield from Havili. And while the channel is still going strong, how are you, Hamish? Good to be back on here again. It's been a while, says Junior Ryder. Welcome back. Been at least, I want to say last Super Rugby, right? You're still I might make a mistake here, but you're still a Hurricanes man, Junior Ryder. You're happy with what they're doing so far throughout this season? And we have good there. How's your day been, Hamish? Obviously, you had those early Six Nations streams. Have you managed to get some sleep? I got like an hour and a half. But that's about it at this stage. William Harvilli will provide some direction at least. Says Shane, ball in the hands now of the Blues. They get the penalty advantage for not rolling away quick enough from Samisi Paya. Offload to Cody Vi, running down the wing. Missed tackle there. Offload on the inside to Signe. He's still pumping his legs. 3 meters short. Taufa Funaki goes across the Tuangawhasi. And they'll score again there, the Blues, right after Moana got their try. How's your day been, Hamish? Oh, no, I read that one, didn't I? And try time for the Blue. Yeah, we're a little bit early, Kiwi Rob. Be sure not to put through too many spoilers. So he did know that Tuangawhasi try was coming. It is a good finish there. 14th for his career. And Cody Vi getting through the initial tackle attempt down the short side. Segner getting those few post-contact meters too. Come on, Moana, don't concede. Says Josiah there, and then the flat attack and run from off Tuangawhasi. Of course, Brother Canes fan forever. It's my hometown. Then it'll get especially back-to-back wins. See his Junior Ryder there. Yeah, solid win over the Western Force. And currently, it is crazy when you think about the table. The fact that the two sides at the top of the bunch have both been beaten by the Fijian drawer. But then outside of that, the Fijian drawer are still yet to get an away win in over 3 years. That is another miss kick from Bowden Barrett, currently sitting at 0%, 0 from 3 off of the tee for Barrett, keeping this game that little bit closer as we tick over to 30 minutes gone. Still another 7 minutes left of the red card. Bowden Barrett looking up, frustrated. As if to say, why are these just not coming off the boot? Yoda says, okay, Sladen, and I've picked Wales to beat Italy, Ireland to beat Scotland, and France to beat England. Come in the Blues. Says Andy there. And the Blues, probably the biggest favourite of all of those sides, aren't they? In that regard. Trying to go for the kick downfield, not charged down by Moana, so does go over the sideline from Cole Forbes. Draw a great and a tropical storm, says Shane. Yeah, they've definitely got those conditions mastered. The Fijian draw at the moment. They will be playing up against the Reds next week, and maybe could be similar type of conditions as well. Thrown in by Sanarevi. It wasn't the straightest lineup, but it was actually almost not straight going towards the Blues rather than towards his teammates. Lalomelo. In the middle of the field, monstrous men, says Shane there. Pellegrini still playing as that halfback role while Pulu is off for another 6 minutes. I picked Italy to win, but they didn't. I picked Scotland to win, and they didn't. Also France to win, and they did, says Josiah. This is the only time I support the Blues. When it's against a non-New Zealand side, says bad to the bone now. Lalomelo. To help set up that last try of Moana Pasifika. William Harvilli has come more so into that number 10 role while Pellegrini has been playing halfback. Tackle on Miracle Langi by Derry. Now Havili, that's going to be a charge down. Nicely done by Ofa Tuangawhasi. Going on the outside now to Samisi Paya. And go Moana, keep it up. No one picked England to win, says Big Rig. I can tell you right now, a lot of people hoped that they would, but yeah. I think it hurts the fact that it was so close too. But it's still one of the better performances we've seen from England throughout their last few matches. That's France and England game was wild. Six Nations has been great this year, says Junior Ryder. Yeah, I think it's been the best competition the Six Nations has had in quite some time in terms of the upsets on the cards, the brilliant performances along the way as well. Right, Patrick Pellegrini winning that penalty advantage for his side. Going off to Lalomelo now on the short side. It rolls out. They'll go back now for the penalty after 14 phases. You made England with big underdogs. Have had a horrible Six Nations, says Josiah. And England kind of lost it more than France winning it, says Bad to the Bone. We're going to see it here. Berry making the tackle and then just taking that little bit longer. Patrick Pellegrini probably milked that about as well as a halfback does. Possession last 10 minutes, 88% for Moana Pasifika, but the territory is 86% for the Blues. And Moana haven't really been able to turn this one into a solid attack inside of the opposition 22. I think the Ireland-Scotland game was kind of boring though. I didn't feel like Ireland weren't trying, says Tanner. In the early stages, I would say after Ireland got their first 3 points, I kind of mentioned it, their first 3 tries. I mentioned it on the stream, how it felt like they were more so being a little bit conservative, not trying to make a big mistake, and knowing that that bonus point was somewhere. When is the cricket on? The cricket will be taking place in around 3 hours' time between South Africa and New Zealand. Now pick and go for Moana. They're under penalty advantage and only 2 metres short of the try line again here. Passing it across. There is another advantage, this time for offside against the Blues. And England had a chance to upset France away from home, but poor at the end cost them, says Josiah. Now, Sanarivi, he's already scored himself 1 try. He will be just short. Papali not happy. He's being held past the ruck by Samisi Paya. Now, Titu Tuipelotu, 1 metre short again. Tupo Tailoa. Tell you what, that's very close to the try line there, and they may even want to check this. I keep going almost there. And High Hamish says Demon the 11th. Okay, they're going back for the initial advantage. Initially short and then managed to wiggle it over the line. And go Moana, says Josiah. Good weekend for Squidge Rugby at least. England kicking the ball away with 1 minute to go is crazy. They should have kept the ball and built phases. But the problem is they haven't had the confidence to do so throughout pretty much their whole Six Nations. So I think that was their slight downfall. The fact that they didn't trust themselves to be able to put together phases for 90 seconds. Plus, they felt like if they had that penalty against them, it would have been an easy one to slot over for French, or for the French from where they were. It's a weird scenario for them, but yeah, on a normal day, you'd like to put phases together. Lalomelo doesn't need phases because he's just scored a try between the post off a mistake on the line out. It looked like it was overthrown. I don't think it was on purpose there. Caleb Clark not happy about it. And Moana Pasifika have scored again between the posts. 43-21, is that your idea of Ireland not trying? Says Bad to the Bone. I feel sorry for our rugby, European and UK rugby, in my opinion. Has surpassed us, sorry to say, says Oswald. And when is the cricket on? Again, there it is, 7:15 p.m. New Zealand time, so 3 hours time. That player was offside, says Kiwi Rob. Shut up, Kiwi Rob, says Josiah. All right, they are going to check this one. They're just making sure that Lalomelo has started back the 10 metres. See whether or not he is offside. What a game between England and France. What a nail-biter. Says Demon the 11th. Yeah, about 6 or 7 lead changes throughout their game. New Zealand is coming like Argentina in the 7s. Their form is all over. Yeah, although Argentina seem to have found it nicely for this tournament at least. Okay, they've said that it has to go past the 15-metre line before he's allowed to make his way forward. Let's go Moana. Kiwi Rob, love that try. There's Matthew, so this one is going to be no try for Moana. Okay, doesn't start 10 back. It's going to be offside, no try. And the penalty awarded to the Blues. Bowden Barrett not getting these conversions over has cost them to make this game closer. You want more money, Moana Pasifika, build your brand by beating the big dogs. says Shane. The White Ferns 189 for 6 off their 19.3 overs. They'll be happy enough with that, wouldn't they? Anything over that one, honestly, over 170, 180 is probably handy enough. Okay, Stephen Donald's not too happy with that try being disallowed for Moana. Sevens is not interesting anymore since they changed the format and cutting a lot of the teams. CS Junior, see, we still cover it on the channel. I love watching the Seven side of things, but I agree. It's not the same as it used to be. Did you see my messages? When are we talking, Kevin? Oh, no, White Ferns are 189 on the 20th over. I did miss that one, unfortunately. I do apologise. And Wales have the best supporters, though, says Bad to the Bone. Yeah, like no side could lose as many games as Wales do and still get that sort of support from a crowd. Like, it's actually incredible. Oskin Satutu now, possession for him. They are also back to 15 on the field here for Moana Pasifika. We see Joel Lamb make his way off the bench. And hopefully, they have been showing plenty of crowd shots to satisfy Kiwi Rob. Love for them, says Jason. Hamish, how come you don't do the top 14? They don't actually show the top 14 here in New Zealand unless you get another subscription on top of the, I think, 3 or 4 that I've already got. So it is the competition that gets sacrificed, but we do still cover the Champions Cup, which involves the French side. So that's the one time that we cover them. You see it there. Just kicked them behind from Moana initially, so it will be a Blues scrum about maybe 12 metres out. Top 14 is boring, says Kiwi Rob. Depends on what style of rugby you like. I think that, like, I'd watch a game of French top 14 pretty happily if it was on Sky here in New Zealand. It's the same as the Japanese Top League Premiership. Like, if a game is on, I would watch it, but yeah, it's just the fact that it's an extra subscription on top of the already many 190 for 7, so everyone will need 191 runs. That'll be tough to do, won't it? Maybe? I wish we had a fan base like that, says Tanner too. It's better than the Kiwi Rob show, says Demon the 11th. And Wales loyal to the death. AB's loyal until one loss, says Tanner. They are just showing the overall standings. The Blues would move up into 3rd place if this game was to remain at this score at full time. Only 3 minutes away from the halftime break. Justin Pulu, still disappointed with the fact that he got taken off the field with that red card. Nice take, or not straight though from the Blues. And it now gives Moana Pasifika the attacking opportunity about 12 metres out from the opposition line. This is the strike just before the halftime break. The benefit that they have had is the conversion going over. And that HSBC is boring. They dropped the Sevens World Cup for that league. Says Bad to the Bone. Yeah, although the Sevens World Cup in a way was just kind of another leg of the Sevens. In some regards, other than the fact that we got to see a few more of the lower ranked teams. I feel like as much as they've changed the setup, I don't think I'll judge it until we see it in action. Scoreboard is wrong, by the way. Is it? Is it not 15-7? At the moment between these two sides after 30, I guess because it's 1 minute ahead with the time, right? And rugby should try and look at like Champions League sort of tournament. The top clubs from around the world competing against each other. They are doing that in about 2028. They're going to be bringing in the Club World Cup. Get a try, Moana Pasifika smash them Blues. Make them Blues more bluer than you have ever been, says Jasmine. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this championship goes because we do get to see a few of the lower ranked sides, the likes of Division 2. They get to fight for their spot on the circuit. But we're also probably going to see 1 or 2 big teams that end up getting demoted, which is going to be really weird. It's 15-12, isn't it? That last try was disallowed for Moana. So 15-7 at the moment, the way that it sits. But it is scrum feed here for Moana. But yeah, they disallowed that Lalomilo try for being within 10 metres when the line out took place. Although, they're looking to make it 12 now. Big push there from Moana. Joel Lamb now scores. It's 15-12 now. But right at the end of the first half, Moana go over. This is going to be a 1-point game heading into the second half, ladies and gentlemen. Joel Lamb, the man who made his way on for Augustine Pulu, and that red card. Now with 25 seconds remaining in the half. It's going to be a 1-pointer. Commentator's Curse says Big Rig. Was it my fault there or was it your fault, Big Rig? Because you did bring up the 15-12. Oh, it's about to be 15 and 14, I would say. How many clubs from each competition for the Club World Cup? I think it was... Oh, hang on. They're going to check this again. What's this one going to be for? Well, they want to check the actions of 7 Moana. So, Messi Paya, I assume that there's some sort of holding going on in that scrum. And try just for Kiwi Rob, says Matthew. And see, I knew he should have been on, says Big Rig. And no, not that TMO again. Go away, says Jasmine. Didn't Italy have 2 tries disallowed within like 5 minutes? Says Big Rig. Yeah, they had a bit of an unlucky run, didn't they? Okay, James Dolman saying you simply cannot hold a player at a scrum. So this one's more than likely going to get ruled out again. And it's going to be a no try for Moana. No one said it was going to be easy in this match up at Eden Park. The Blues kicker's having a bad day with the boot so far. Okay, so it's going to be a penalty to the Blues. Another no try. Tana Umangi, who will be feeling that frustration. Lifeline for the Blues, the second lifeline for this Blues side. But at the same time, Moana just have to make sure that they're not ill-disciplined. Shut, says Kiwi Rob. Okay, that one is fair enough, but come on, Moana, says Jasmine. It looks like they will just take the tap, boot it into touch, and the score at halftime, 15 points to 7. For the best leagues, first European Club Cup, second the NPC, 3 the English Premiership knockout rounds of Super Rugby. And oof, says Gus, and there too. 1 second, I'll get those Club World Cup numbers while we're at the Club World Cup. But they did say, I should put Rugby Club World Cup actually. Or else it's giving me the FIFA World Cup. Club World Cup. It's a future international men's rugby competition. So it's going to feature 16 teams, 8 from the Champions Cup, 7 from Super Rugby Pacific, and 1 from the Japanese League One. Now, you could argue that Super Rugby don't deserve to have 7 teams in a competition that only has 8 teams across the Champions Cup. So that's all of Europe covered with New Zealand and Australia, as well as Moana Pasifika and Fiji and Roa, getting themselves 7 sides on it. It's interesting that they've done it that way, though, rather than going for like the top of the Premiership, the top of the top 14, top of the URC. Instead, it's going to be the Champions Cup side of things. I think the 20-minute red card should start from when the decision comes down. No, because that's a 30-minute red card, isn't it? 7 from Super Rugby. It should be the top 4 from Super Rugby, says Junior Ryder. Yeah, see, that seems I don't know, that seems too generous in my opinion. Definitely with the amount of class from other leagues. You could see some sides in the URC, for instance, if they're ranked about 3rd or 4th, they'd probably miss out on the Club World Cup because of just the way that the Champions Cup works out. But like top 7, that would mean theoretically we would get to see just off this current ranking. Of course, it would change in 2028. But that would mean we see the Hurricanes, the Brumbies, the Chiefs, the Reds, the Blues, the Waratahs, and the Highlanders all in that Club World Cup. That seems like quite a few for the South. But looking through at the upcoming matches for the Blues, they have got the Waratahs next week. That is going to be the Saturday night fixture taking place at 9:35. Then the week after that, they are playing up against the Fiji and Drua. And that one will be at Eden Park. The Fiji and Drua are still yet to get themselves an away win in the past 3 years. It'll be at Eden Park that they finally break that streak. Moana have got the Crusaders as well as the Highlanders as their next 2 matches. So a couple matches up against the South Island Super Rugby teams. We have got the Europe, also includes South Africa. It does, which is another reason why I think that 8 teams from the Champions Cup is just not enough. It seems a bit light. Like I would have gone, if you're having 16 teams, I would have looked at it as you go 1 from the Japanese top league. I would say you could say 4 or 5 from Super Rugby maybe. I'd say probably 4 from Super Rugby. Go 4 from the URC. Maybe 3 from the Premiership. And then, 3 from the French top 14 is too little probably. So maybe you go you want at least 3 or so from each comp. Just to make it a little bit more competitive. First, Moana found the All Blacks. says Jordan. Samisi Tupa could be an All Black. And in my fantasy team, I've got 8 Moana Pasifika and 10 Moana Pasifika. They're doing good. And also, I hear Q Rob is related to Justin Marshall, says Jason. And Junior Ryder, 44 Lamb with you. What would World Rugby did to the Sevens is gross, says Demon. Yeah, and the thing is, you see Sevens too. And the amount of support that that competition does receive now just because of the fact that they've got the Kenyans in it. Like, they're surely missing out on a huge amount of people in the stands. We have got there lots of the URC teams are in the other ones as well, says Jordan. I wonder if they've announced the Sevens too. It is in Montevideo. That is taking place next week. We got some fixtures. Yes, we do. So South African women are going to be playing up against the Spanish women. That is at 3:23 a.m. on Sunday morning. That's a fun wake-up time. And then also, where are the men's games? Kenya playing Canada at 7 a.m. roughly on Sunday morning. Okay, so there should be some exciting games. And the last one's taking place on Monday at 10:50 a.m. So we'll be hoping to cover a few of those ones along the way. We have got there, wrong, Hamish. What's wrong? Like, which part? What are we talking about? You got to be more specific. We got there, Kiwi Rob says, Matthew, at least we have one more titles than your Landers. Who's that to? My Highlanders, is it? I didn't realise I supported them. We have got there, where is the Club World Cup being held? America. I'm not actually too sure whereabouts they are going to have it hosted, but you'd assume that they try and have all the clubs in the same spot just to try and save the, like, kind of, I guess, travel side of things. I'm not actually too sure how long the comp will go for out of the 7 Super Rugby teams, how many is going to be competitive. Yeah, you probably only got maybe 3 or 4, depending on, of course, where the games are taking place. Currently, possession is pretty 50-50 between these two sides. 51% for Moana Pasifika, 49% for the Blues. Moana have had more metres gained. They've had more defenders beaten. Yeah, that's what a Club World Cup should be, says Jordan. The golden era of 7 was from 2005 to 2011, and the silver age was 2012 to 2016. Still, 2005 to 2011 was the best era of 7s ever. We got Tangi Tau, says Highlanders fan. Is the Fijian Roa participating in the club World Club Rugby? Maybe. I think it's based off rankings a little bit closer to the time. We're still going to wait that little bit longer before we get to see exactly who it's going to be in the comp. But I'd assume that they'd run the Super Rugby competition for 2028. And then from there, the teams who are at the top would go through. 2028 is too late for a new competition. But when are you going to do it instead? Because, 2027, it's quite occupied because there's a thing called the World Cup, which I think is going to be the main focus for a lot of teams. They don't want to be messing around with the Club World Cup before that. But, 2028, that's also when we're going to get to see the R360 coming in. We'll see a few guys going into that competition as well. Not unless they can start winning away. If you only 4 Super Rugby teams, you can have all Kiwi teams. Says Kiwi Rob, that is true. But if they are the top of the table sides, and at the moment, I guess the argument is, currently the way that it sits, you possibly wouldn't have all Kiwi teams. We see there the top 4 are 2-2 in that regard. But I think that just comes down to the head-to-heads. You got to remember, New Zealand sides play each other in derbies. Australian sides play each other in derbies as well. So there's a high chance that at least one Aussie side would be within that top 4 if it was only the 4 Super Rugby teams. And Kiwi, there's 5, buddy. There's Highlanders fan. And we have got their Highlanders better be in the Club World Cup, says Highlanders. And we have got their, not unless they start winning away. The Highlanders have the zoo, which is priceless, says Jason. Hamish, why aren't the Highlanders playing some of their other backs they have? Which backs are we talking, Highlanders fan? I know that they still have to wait a little bit longer for Finn Hurley to return from his injury. He's got another 4 weeks or so. If you're talking about Jonah Lowe, he is out with an injury currently, so that is why he wasn't playing in the contest. I was talking about the Club World Rugby Cup. Just showing the work of Joel Lamb, who almost crossed the line for the try. Well, in fact, he did cross the line, but then it was disallowed. The try prior to that was Lalomilo, also disallowed for Moana. Xavier Tito Harris. So who would you get rid of, though, in that Highlanders backline? It's a bit of a tricky one currently because I don't think there's too many players in there. And Stanley Solomon, he's playing for the Highlanders B. So I think they're just building him into his Highlanders career. Serious question. Or what are we doing with cricket making a private funded league so we can keep the players here? Or should we do that with Super Rugby too so we can go privately funded like top 14 so we can keep players here? It's a tricky one to manage, I would say, for New Zealand because the money that overseas sides are offering is just huge. So they would need a lot of funding to keep everyone here. At the same time, though, if they opened up that selection policy, then they would get to play all those guys for the All Blacks, and they would also get to play overseas. But it is that whole thing of they're trying to keep players in Super Rugby. But at the same time, if you lose players to other competitions, that opens up the door for the next young player to then break onto the scene, who may even be better than those guys who are staying because they want to play for the All Blacks. 16 clubs in that World Cup, 8 from Champions Cup, 6 from Super Rugby, 2 from Japan. Says bad to the bone. Okay, see, the Wikipedia one had 7 from Super Rugby, 1 from Japan, which is quite interesting, but it could be 6 and 2 instead. What year the Club World Cup? It is 2028. Which I think World should admit that stuffed up with 7s and make it 16 teams again, bring back Wales, Scotland, England, and Ireland. I will ask you the serious question, though, Demon the 11th. When have we ever heard World Rugby say that they thought that they were completely wrong? Because, you know, we've seen decisions that have happened in games. We've seen that they've said the referees were wrong in that case. But have World Rugby ever gone, you know what, we made a bad call there, and now we're going to go back to what it was originally? New Zealand ruled 7s. When Titchens was our coach, says bad to the bone. And never says Demon the 11th. Exactly. So the only way that they will go back to 16 teams is if they make it seem like it's a brand new innovation idea that they've just come up with and claim it as some sort of new revival of the 7s that's never been seen before. But it's just going back to what it was. So if it's 7 from Super Rugby, would it just be a top 7 from 2019 make the Club World Cup? 2029. I think it would be the top from 2028. And 7s, says Jordan, although like you look at the players who make their way into the union side of things, they're currently dominating Super Rugby. You look at someone like Caleb Tangitawa, Leroy Carter, Fihi Whinianofo, all coming from the 7s. Cody Vai, in this game, was a 7s man. Adi Savia back in the day was 7s. The Ioane brothers, they were 7s prospects back in the day too. So it's actually quite surprising the amount of men who have been in the 7 setup. Even Caleb Clark. Now, he didn't get to play a game, but he travelled with them to the Olympics to try and get himself the opportunity. That's the only... So you don't like watching 7s, but you like the players that 7s provides, is what you're saying there. Offered the ref for guarantee a Blues win. Fee only scores put downs and goes missing, says Jordan. I don't think I'd say that. I think that the unselfishness of Fihi Whinianofo means that he doesn't actually score as many tries as he could. But the halftime game, what's the halftime game? Like as in like Catch the Colonel? Is that the game you're talking about? I captained him. Okay, so that's where that's come from. You picked him for the wrong week, obviously. Lomu and Cullen, also 7s legends. You're not a true rugby fan if you hate 7s, maybe dislike, but hate. Says bad to the bone. Second half of this contest will be very close to taking place, ladies and gents. First half did end about 12 minutes ago, so I'd say 3 or so more minutes. To be honest, 7s doesn't do much for me. You can sneeze and miss half the game, plus defending lacks strategy with so few players, says Big Rig. So 5-a-side football, just less going on, says Big Rig. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones that's similar to what we see for Test match cricket versus T20 cricket. How some people love the shorter format. They like the fact that it's over in 14 minutes. And I've always said for 7s, one of the massive bonuses is if you get a bad game of 7s, 15 minutes later it's over. You get a bad game of rugby union, you sit through an hour and a half of rugby that you just wish would have already finished. So that's one bonus, how you can get an absolutely awesome 7s game full of highlight reel tries and everything along those lines. Or if it's not so great, it doesn't matter because 15 minutes later you're watching another game anyway. And we have got there... he's only had one big score. Tangitawa has had multiple, says Jordan. So still one of the boys from the 7s, though. 7s rugby is like T20 cricket, not as good as the real games. Says bad to the bone. Yeah, although 7s, I guess you could argue similar to what we're seeing for the T20 side of things. Because of the teams that play on the 7 circuit, and we saw it in the Olympics it is something that has brought a few more eyeballs to the game of rugby union. The fact that some people start with sevens and then go, okay, this is a fun sport. I'm going to watch a little bit more. I'm going to find out what else there is around the place. You're supporting the NRL team? Well, I'm from New Zealand, so it should be the Warriors, but I haven't followed them as closely as I should. I want to do some live streams eventually for the Warriors games, but the problem is they keep on overlapping with Super Rugby fixtures, so that makes it very difficult. And Sevens Rugby is like T20 cricket. And also we have got there, he's like on Tossi's level. Says Jordan, well, India had no problem selling tickets to T20 games, says Big Rig. And no rookie Rob. As I don't know, every time the Blues lose, says Big Rig. I also support the Wars, says Ryder, so you'll be more than happy with how they've started this season then with the 2 wins from 2, including a massive second half up against the Canberra Raiders. The fact that they were 6-all at halftime to then go on and win by the way that they did was thoroughly impressive. Did you see how Dossie was getting dominated, at least controlled in the scrum when he was on? Other than when Lomax came on, Force was flying backwards. Says Jordan and Ben Gonglongs, I struggle to say his name, and the Sevens legend, says Sock. Now just showing some tries from the NRL, in fact, just after we had mentioned it. Showing that there are 2 matches today, one of which has taken place in only about 25 minutes' time. It'll be the Sea Eagles in action. I used to play sevens, kind of like playing touch rugby, high cardio, fast pace. And all of the guys who go from sevens to union say how great it was for their cardio and the fact that it gets them into the best shape that they've been in for a game of rugby union. That's why some of these sevens guys seem to be able to go all day out there on the park. What was the score for the Warriors game? It was 6-all at halftime, and in the end, I think they won 40 points to 6, the Warriors. And good day, Hamish. So happy for my Stormers team. At least, says Jonathan. We're going to win the premiership, says Ryder. I Googled it. It said 6 teams from Super Rugby. Interesting. I Googled it, and it came up with 7 for me. So it'll be one of the 2, though. Even 6 seems a bit generous, but I guess it does make sense because it would be the top 6 of the Super Rugby standings. And good day, Hamish. So happy for my Stormers team. They did well up against the Bulls at Loftus, didn't they? Second half, just about to get underway. Patrick Pellegrini, they are back to the full 15 out there on the field here. They are 15-7 down. What a thrashing. I assume that must be the Warriors game, right? I assume we're not talking about this one yet. Although if the Blues get off to a quick fire start, could certainly get in the right direction. Sam Derry taken out in the air. Going up for that ball. Does end up claiming it nicely, but did get taken out in the air too. Sevens from Super Rugby. That is something that someone mentioned about earlier on, saying whether or not maybe they would ever look at a sevens competition for the Super Rugby sides. The only downside of that would be the potential injuries that would come from it. For the Warriors game, says Matthew. I do see that Rampling has made his way on, so one who was hoping to see him out there nice and early, he's made his way on for Hoskins Tutu at half time. Can have a full 40 minutes to be able to work in this game for Malachi Rampling. Sevens is too short. Says bad to the bone. Yeah, I think sometimes it can feel like it's taken, or it just goes by too quick. But then at other games, you get that little bit of methodicalness or it's slower pace to them. And 14 minutes can feel like a long time. In a game of sevens that is extremely competitive. Still shoving this one forward. Well, therefore, Taufafunaki. Still waiting for it. They're still going forward, though, so they don't actually have to use this one as of yet. Until Moana Pasifika stopped this one from rolling, the Blues were just going to make those meters for fun. Now, Bowden Barrett, number 12, offside, so that will be against Lalomilo. It's good for publicity, I suppose. He's bad to the bone. Anyone you would text stalk? No, probably not. How do you stalk someone over text? Because surely, you send them a text, they don't reply, and then you go, oh, well, they must be busy. Surely that's about as far as stalking by text goes, doesn't it? Now we have there Caleb Clark looking like scoring. He's had a couple decent chances, was dragged down just short of the line not too long ago, or about 20 minutes into the first half, I think it was. Funaki's one of the worst halfbacks. All he cares about is his treats, says Jordan. You've been to Omarama in winter. It's cold. The fountain was frozen all day, says Jordan. I have been and got a pie in America, in Amarama, and it was very good. But haven't been back since, unfortunately. I would like another pie from Amarama, though. It was good. Put it this way, would you rather your country won the Rugby World Cup or the Sevens World Cup? Says Big Rig. See, I think for a team like Fiji, though, like to have an opportunity to win a World Cup of some sort, they would be more than happy with. Nice run there from Malachi Rappling. Now left-hand side, Fiji, or the Fijian draw, I should say, currently on a 2-match home winning streak. And Super Rugby Pacific doing very nicely. Haven't been able to get the away wins. Moana Pasifika, they have won just one away game for the Super Rugby season. No other matches. They've been victorious in. It's 6 degrees here. I'm hugging my heater. I lost interest in the 7 when they canned the Sevens World Cup. Only Olympic gold matters in Sevens now. Close to the line and just held up there. It was initially over, but they have managed to feed it back through. Sam Derry also stopped just before the try line. Segner's going to go for the finish. He is only inches from crossing the line too. Brilliant goal line defence from Moana, but for how long can it hang on for? Fatuanga Fasi, he's already scored himself a try. Funaki has Rampling with him. He steps inwards. Tackled by Lalomilo. Both of the Blues are about to score. Says Ryder, they certainly are only a couple metres out. Marcel Renata over the line. And both Blues props crossing the try line in this contest. The Blues score here. It's ball game, says Big Rig. It is a big moment for them. And Marcel Renata, the man who does score it. And Jiminy, Anton, says Jordan. How many inches is Segner? From the line, they were only a couple out in terms of the inches. Is that the message you text them, Jason? 22 points to 7. Says Kiwi Rob there too. I look at the NRL table. Waz are in second. Says Ryder, but the conversion has gone over for Bowden Barrett, the first of the day. We see it there. They're just saying there that the change for the Blues, Malachi Rappling is on for his debut. He's been on since half-time. He's had about 3 carries since making his way onto the field. But now, Pole is on the field for Tui Palotu. That guy sure loves Germany, says Big Rig. Renate has 4 fingers, says Jordan. And ball for the Blues just outside. What he played last week, didn't he? No, he didn't. This is his debut, but he was just out there much earlier than they said that he was making his way on. He's already got him well and truly into his work. If I'm a couple inches out, I'm going to score, says Wade. And also Kiwi Roll like that try. And I love it when the big boys get over. Yeah, Offa and also Marcel Renata both getting their tries in this one. 7 seems like too many teams from Super Rugby. There aren't that many good sides capable of beating the best. Yeah, it seems very generous. I would have thought maybe 4 from Super Rugby. The sides that make it through to maybe the semi-finals, you chuck in. Actually has 4 fingers, 1 got cut off. He almost lost 2. My uncle was Bowden Barrett, says Ryder Sharp. Your uncle will be very happy to have got that kick over just before. Now Whaialangi taking that one at line out. Time massive shot on Lalomilo, one of which was Rampling who made the tackle. I just jammed your nose in the living room door. How do you do that? How close to the door? Was someone else closing the door? You're probably paying far too close attention, but then I guess if you've done it before, you probably are going to be a bit cautious. Rugby World Cup 15s by miles. So he's bad to the bone. And Off has been unimpressive. Atu Molly has been dominating him, and Atu is half retired. Says Jordan, although one of them has a try on the board and could be the difference between the win and a loss. Picked up by Tofa Funaki, knocked on by Moana. What a kick, Hamish. I haven't quite seen it yet. Bowden Barrett, he had that ball. Didn't end up kicking it just yet. Be sure not to do too many spoilers, Kiwi Rob, if you can avoid it. Now a kick downfield from Bowden Barrett, going for the banana boot there. And it is a great 50-22 from Bowden Barrett. Currently the Blues have got themselves in a position of a bonus point as well here. Due to scoring the 4 tries, that doesn't matter when you score a try once every 2 or 3 years. It depends on when you score it. I mean, Pasilio Tosi, perfect example. He scored up against the Reds in golden point time and managed to win the Hurricanes the game. We have there, what a kick gamish. And Triple H is at you, says Big Rig. And Lalo Milo, a guy with 2 first names. Sounds suspicious, says Pro Pleb. Right, James Mullen is on for Kurt Eklund. I've never liked Offer, says Bad to the Bone. For the men's, make it 4 groups of 16, 3 groups for the women's 7s for each leg. Bring back the cup and the shield system, says Demon. Good morning, my friend Hamish. How was your sleep? It was very short, about 90 minutes. And that might have been an exaggeration. I think it was even shorter than that. That was ages ago when he wasn't lazy, says Jordan. Now go on left-hand side. Chance here for Mullen. Crashes at Samisi Tupo Taialoa. I'll wait to the left again. Tofa Funaki shifting it on. Blues straight out in front of the post. Offloading up there. Big run forward. I think that was Zahn Sullivan doing the crashing run. I'm not sure whether or not that is the line that he should be trying to do. They're over again, the Blues. And this one's getting more and more one-sided. It's Marcel Renata again. It's a prop day and a half here. Oh, no, they're giving a credit to Sam Derry by the looks of it. They managed to score that one. Scotty Barrett is at my house, says Ryder Sharp. Neither Offer, as in the same boat as Tossi. Do South Africa still win the Champions League if they win today in the 7s? So it's quite interesting because Fiji managed to qualify for the semi-finals, which they look unlikely to do after their big loss to Argentina in the opening round. It does mean now that South Africa and Fiji, it is still the case of whoever finishes higher in the rankings will then get themselves that champion spot. And also, that would mean that they avoid any sort of relegation chance, which I think is an absolutely massive one because, you know, anything can happen in the world of 7s. Bowden made the kick. He certainly did. Straight out in front of the post for Bowden again. His last 2 kicks have been pretty much from 10 out. But this one, now 29-7 with a bit more time remaining on the clock. South Africa woman 18 for 2. Says Jasmine. Make the 7s final 10 minutes each again for the Women's Cup and the Men's Cup in each round. So, and there, Bowden Barrett 2 off, or 2 from 5 in the attempts thus far. You watch the Aussie rest. We'll rob the Waz when it matters in League. New Zealand are always playing against 14, says Bad to the Bone. There's a kick and a half there again from Bowden Barrett. And right down into Moana Pasifika's half. And we have got the what South Africa win today, says Mohadeen. So South Africa are playing up against Argentina. So if they want to win that game, they would have to get past Los Pumas. Now, ball's there for Moana. Looping around. Still going to be relatively far out. Oh, a little bit of wrestling going on off the ball there between Marcel Renata and one of the Moana Pasifika forwards, but it is going to be going in favour of the Blues, rather than Moana's penalty. And we have got there, do you want something signed? Says, right, I assume that's in regards to Scott Barrett, isn't it? Bowden Barrett remembered to bring his golden boots. Have a answer the Haka question, please. I didn't see the Haka question. Where's the Haka question? I'm still looking for the Haka question. Maybe it didn't come through. I don't see a Haka question. So whatever was the wording of it, it may have been taken out. Yeah, I don't see it. I just up a little. I'm looking through. It's got you saying about no one cares about South Africa, and then the one previous to that is I hate all those morons. It's the one beforehand that we see from you. We have got there, GB should not be allowed to compete and as 4 countries in 1. I mean, to be fair, they're still finishing last. So it's probably not the end of the world. If they were dominating, I'd say maybe, but yeah, they aren't really even competitive at times. For GB, that is going to be a free kick now going the way of Moana Pasifika. See here, he can go for the kick into touch on the full. And GB have nowhere near as much success as their predecessors. Moana Pasifika lacking a strong leader, says Wade. Yeah, see, Miracle Whailangi, don't get me wrong, phenomenal player, but you don't really see a lot of him at times. Definitely in a game where Moana are slightly struggling. Does seem to kind of disappear a little bit. James Mullen throws it in. Nicely taken by Moana Pasifika. And now with the ball, about 15 metres out from there, 22, almost carving through was Latu. And we have got there, I'm still concerned, there's no real standout 6 in Super Rugby for the All Blacks. We have to resort to playing locks and 8s at 6. Yeah, it's a tricky position. Question, and it's probably a controversial one, but if you're looking at players in Super Rugby, they wouldn't go back to Brad Shields, would they? Surely not. Even though that man currently is actually playing some pretty handy rugby and also just looks like that kind of enforcer type of role that the Kiwis normally want to have as their number 6. There is a knock-on from the Blues, so Moana Pasifika will get themselves a scrum. Taufa Funaki just slaps Sanarevi in the face. I assume that they're friends, though, because they're tapping each other. And we have got there, make the second division of the Sevens be bigger, having 8 legs. Says Demon the 11th. Kane's number 6 has been good. So is that Devon Flanders that you're talking about, or are you going with... who else have they played at 6 this year? They've had Brad Shields at times, but Devon Flanders has been in there. I don't think Yossi's played 6 yet this year. I think he's been more so 8. TK Howden. Oh, he's at the Highlanders, isn't he? As the form one. Is the most carries, tackles, and line-out takes and meters carried. Says Jordan. Now, Joel Lamb to feed this ball in. There is going to be a new advantage now in favour of Moana. Looking to move it right. Joel Lamb getting it on the outside. Down just outside of the 22. Hayes says, what's up, guys? Welcome in. I picked Brad Shields, but people focus on age too much. The age is irrelevant if you're playing good, says the Sporting Kiwi. And that age factor as well, as long as he's fit enough to play the whole game. Like you said, I think people focus on age and go, oh, he's too old, we need to bring in young talent. But if you're looking for someone who's been there, done that type of thing, maybe it's not a terrible choice. Now left-hand side, quick hands there. Patrick Pellegrini, interception, but they'll go back for the advantage. That was close to being the big steal there. Cody Vai was well and truly gone. I don't think anyone would have even got within 22 metres of him had that one been legal. Did you sleep much after last night? I got like 90 minutes. Shields only had one good game. TK and Devon. We've had multiple, says Jordan. And who do you think the All Blacks captain will be? At the moment, I think it's between about 3 guys. Savi is probably going to be the one who gets it, though, seeing as he's got that connection with Rennie. But now, chance to line up this one towards the corner for Moana Pasifika. Still going aggressive at this stage of the match. Pellegrini puts them right into the right spot. So TT and Casey too small. When we have been good, we have a big 6. How many points do the Blitzboks need? So they just need to win and get more points than Argentina. Line out throw for Moana Pasifika here. That one's gone over the 15 metres. Blues now running on and claiming that one. Partial charge down kick towards the sideline. Goes out. Will be the Blues line out here. Still a little bit of pressure coming back from Moana Pasifika. They find themselves down, though, 29 points to 7. So you could argue this game is almost gone. It seems like they just don't quite want to give up, though. Want to find a way back to at least getting a losing bonus point from this game. Well, if Rennie gets what he wants, Shannon Frizzell will be the 6. Now, later says, Ryder, we'll see you later on. I'm at the game. You said you were sitting next to Scott Barrett. Is Scott Barrett also at the game? Now, line out here for the Blues again. Okay, they're just saying there, James Mullen, that is 4 straight now that the line out has been lost for the Blues. Will you wish me tonight for tomorrow? It will be almost. I think by the time the final is on, it will pretty much be Monday in South Africa. Now, left-hand side, Miracle Faialangi trying to stay inside the field of play. Actually, some very nice tightrope walking there from Moana. Now cutting through the gap. 1 metre short, Patrick Pellegrini, sniping run. Can't quite get over, didn't quite have the frame to be able to push his way through. I know Sam Knock is the best Blues halfback, says Jordan. if Scott Barrett thinks Rennie is going to pick when he's not playing, he's dreaming, says the Sporting Kiwi. Now going off to the right. Moana just the 1 metre short of the try line. Is this the moment that gets them just that little bit closer? Back in the game again. Brilliant defence from the Blues right on their own goal line. Is it going to be held up? Dolman's looking for it, and it is held up as the call. What time is the cricket? Cricket has taken place in an hour and about 2 hours, 20 minutes time is when the cricket is happening. We're, of course, going to be covering it on the channel for that first T20 between New Zealand and South Africa, but Moana getting close to scoring it just narrowly. Oh, I'll tell you what, that was actually very close to a grounding there. They may have to check it, although I think Dolman has straight away said hands and feet were both underneath the ball. So it is going to be ruled as no try. And now goal line drop out here. Oh no, in fact, sorry, 5 metre scrum here for Moana. And I think Sam Knock is the best bet. Just my opinion, says Mitchies. 1 second, I'm about to sneeze, so we will quickly hide off to the side and mute for a second. We are back. And now, ball is there for Moana Pasifika. So to get behind the hindmost foot. Now, short side Lamb. Back across to the right. 5 metres from the line. Tupotai Loa. Moana still had 21 minutes remaining in this game. It would be a monumental comeback of epic proportions if they were able to get over, but the penalty awarded to the Blues in the breakdown. Like they're saying, there's a few issues at line-out time at the moment for the Blues, but they have still been very strong with their breakdown work. I remember when Scotty Stevenson made up that Tanu Munga. It's going to be an assistant coach to Dave Rennie. No way. He's going to be there with his coaching record. Says a Sporting Kiwi. And also, I sure hope that we don't have old farts like Nation playing, because they will not be there next World Cup. Now another line out here for Molin, who will be under a lot of pressure. I'm a hater. Anything not New Zealand sucks is bad to the bone. And just here for the general debate. Can someone please tell me why we don't play Sam Knock more often? He's so fast and clearing the ball. And there's a bit of a list for me. Says Mitchies. Yeah, see, I think that Knock, for me, does go above Tolfa Funaki in the listing. And in some cases, I'll probably even go with him above Christie with the style of play that Knock can bring. Now, a big run from Caleb Clark. Not a lot of touches of the ball for that man throughout this contest. And really tried to go out to his left wing too often whatsoever. Kodivai. Long way off his wing there. It's going to be another penalty. How long is the cricket? Cricket normally goes for about 3 hours 30, somewhere around there, I would say. But yeah, it's normally around that mid 3.5, 3 hours 40, 3 hours 20 if it's shorter. Chance New Zealand have to win the cricket. They are considered as the favourite heading into that one. So a better chance than the World Cup final. But at the same time, South Africa have gone with a very young team, and it's very tricky to know how they're going to play. I mean, we saw New Zealand bring an experimental side into that series up against the Indians and actually did quite nicely. This one's towards the sideline, kept in by Moana Pasifika. Now, Glenn Vaihu takes this one downfield and into touch again. I don't care about that Vern Cotter is going to the Reds. I want him in the All Blacks coaching team. Surely they can make it work, says the Sporting Kiwi. And also, it could be Jamie Joseph as assistant coach. I don't think so. They were pretty clear, Jamie Joseph and Rennie, that they don't particularly want to work together and that both of them wanted that head coach. Although that was more so for they didn't want to be co-head coaches. So who knows, maybe someone accepts an assistant role. Now, ball's still there on the side of the Blues. AJ Lamb, he's another guy who hasn't really had a huge amount of touches of the ball in just recent times. Let's go to the Blues. Says Kay Slater. Knock has actually scored multiple match-winning tries for the Blues. Says Jordan. And it's nearly halfway, and South Africa only have 30-odd chasing 190. Says bad to the bone. How many wickets down are they at the moment? That is another penalty to Moana this time for the Blues leaving their feet in the breakdown. It's against Mason Tupaia this time. This game is at that stage how it seems like the Blues have won, and now it's just waiting to see how much by. Still 2 down and only 30 runs. I bet old idiots like Nisham are going to be playing, which is pure stupidity. Although Nisham did have, that's the thing. Yes, he had a couple expensive overs, so did everyone, but he did have that crucial over where New Zealand, if there was ever going to be a time for them to get back into that World Cup final, it would have been after that over. It was just that finish from Dubé, though. He just went out there and absolutely smashed the ball for sixes. I saw England supporters are complaining about the high tackle call, but they actually kicked the penalty from where the deliberate knock-on was. Says the Sporting Kiwi. Right, so they were... But they actually, so they had, I think, 2 or 3 options, didn't they? I think it was at least 2 for where they wanted to go, which is why I think that Tojo was getting in the face saying, no, we don't want them taking that one. Now offload there from Laumape. He's made his way off of the bench in this game in the number 22 jersey. And we have got there, he was. Knox contract runs out this year too, so I hope they play him more this year so he can get the spot he deserves and they extend his contract. Now Caleb Clark, 2-man tackle on him. Tofa Funaki going on the inside of Mason Tupaia. Offload to Sam Derry, who offloads a one more. Great hands here from the Blues. Tofa Funaki. Missed tackle there from Moana. Up to 10 metres out from the line. Now Mason Tupaia. Oh, it's a knock on there from Zahn Sullivan. Tried to pull his hands away. But it's going to be the knock on. He once again is a long way from where he probably should have been in that scenario, Sullivan. He's trying to play like a forward, but he's got a 23 on his back. Should be trying to help this back line out more so than getting in and running the lines of the forwards. Speaking as an English fan, France were the better team. England did a lot of dumb things, says Big Rick. How are you feeling coaching the New Zealand cricket team now? Says Mohadeen. I definitely wouldn't want that job, I can tell you that right now. Mason Tupaia actually needs some chances starting, says Jordan. Seeing some of the moments throughout this game from this Blues back line, as well as specifically the youngster Taili. Anara, I know he should have taken the opportunity with the Crusaders he had a few years back. And I will say it took them forever to make the decision for where they wanted to kick the penalty. Could have been time wasting, I thought. Says the Sporting Kiwi. Yeah, although it was weird the way that Itoje wouldn't retreat. The penalty was awarded. And at that stage, it was pretty much close to the 80th minute anyway. They were always going to have that kick after the siren. But Itoje just wasn't going back. So France, they weren't able to actually take it until Itoje moved back towards his side. And no one rallying the troops for Moana Pasifika, says Wade. And that is another penalty this time going against Sam Martinga at scrum time. Can't blame the ref for that, says Big Rig. And that was Itoje's fault though, says Big Rig. And very true, says the Sporting Kiwi. Yeah, it was kind of a weird moment, wasn't it? Near the end of that game. But that game was full of moments as a whole. The fact that it was almost 100 points throughout the game. And a game that was so crucial. The outcome of the overall Six Nations. Kiwi lad should make a video on Sam Knox situation he's been in. And why he's not played that often. I'd genuinely be interested in his take on this, says Mitchie. I probably wouldn't have the best take because I'm too unbiased in terms of I'd end up saying he's a good player. I'd say they'd also have a few other good players and maybe they could play him more. But I don't know whether or not that would actually get any sort of momentum for him. I know that he normally does very nicely for the Tanifars though in terms of those big moments throughout the NPC season. Tofa Funaki going back across to the right-hand side. Mullen. Good now. Only 15 minutes remaining on the clock here. You can't blame Funaki you can't claim Funaki is better than Knock. Yeah, he's doing all right, I think. Hamish 2026. Probably say that about too many players, don't I? Why you look happy today? What game you are going to like today? Well, hopefully the T20 is a good one. Seeing as that would be the time that I would normally sleep on a weekend, but we don't get to today. We got that T20 and then jumping into the sevens from 5 a.m.-ish onwards. Knock is 1,000 times better. There's Jordan. English lock probably thought the French were right on his tail as the crowd were roaring. So he ran straight instead of running around the posts. Yeah, see, that was the Chisholm moment, wasn't it? How he didn't end up cutting back inwards. Although it looked like he slightly looked over his shoulder, but maybe he saw it with Jalabert and felt like he was going to be caught. This is why we need a 6 New Zealand super team. Players like Knott could get regular game time, says the Sporting Kiwi. Now moving forward that little bit further. Pick and go on the short side. Funaki. Now, good attack and run from Che Clark. Mullen. A lot of carries here for the Blues from their reserves. Sam Derry. 2-man tackle on him by Samisi Tupotaeloa. And also, I believe it was Samisi Paya. Just looking to find that extra try. That's going to be knocked on. Moana back in position. Oh man, I ain't sleeping tonight, says Robert. And not could go to the Hurricanes. He's way better than Iritara Eneri. And yet Chisholm was daydreaming. That daydream cost him the game. Says bad to the bone. And I'm sure there's other moments that also cost him. But that one in particular, as soon as the live stream ended, like normally what happens is I sit here for like maybe 30 seconds or so, catching my breath and working out what we're doing next. But about 5 seconds after I ended that stream, I went, hang on. That was the moment that I mentioned at the time that like seemed weird. Hello, says Hannah. Welcome in. Early morning start for yourself in South Africa. One's kicked down the middle of the field from Bowden Barrett. Be bouncing up nicely for William Havili. Finn Christie isn't as good as Knock. Never mind Funaki. It's almost Christmas time before Funaki even clears the ball from the ruck. Your comment reading is very impressive, says Jordan. Hello, says Ange. Welcome in. You are doing extremely well. Currently looking at the table. This is how it's set heading into this game, ladies and gents. So for the Blues, with a win here, currently by 22 points, that would take their points differential up to plus 41, and that would put them in third. Now, if they win this game by 23 or more, in fact, I think they need to win it by probably 25 just to be safe. Oh, that's not a straight throw from the Blues. Mullen's having a really tough time with getting those lineouts correct. But yeah, win by around 25 would put them into second place ahead of the Brumbies, who would then drop to third. And if you want to get really technical for the Blues, 85 minus 19, they'd need about a 70-point victory. Maybe a bit less than that, actually. About a 67, 68-point victory over Moana to be able to get into first. So that's not happening. Not with only 12 minutes remaining, but one more try for Moana. One more try for the Blues could certainly put them into second. And don't be offended, I'm putting you on the big screen TV tonight. See if Robert now running down the short side. Cody Vi, no one will catch him, and that is now the try that would get them into second place. He does the finish in the corner and then the celebration of telling the crowd to settle down. It wasn't really necessary. He could have just put that one down as there was no one near him, but he wanted to get the highlight finish for Cody Vi. Second of the season for that man. And we have got there by the time Christie gets the ball out of the ruck. I've read 10 books and I don't even read, says the Sporting Kiwi. Running down the short side here for Cody Vi. The chase had pretty much been given up, and then the big kind of flip in the corner. Moana going to score any more tries? That seems unlikely in this scenario. Yeah, the finish from Vi. Okay, Jeff Wilson there just saying that the try finish was pretty unnecessary. Now, where does this put us? That would put them currently in second. Nice kick from Bowden Barrett near the sideline. Goes over now. Makes the score with 10 minutes remaining, 36-7. So, yes, second place currently, Kiwi Rob. With not a lot of opportunity to go to first, because or else they'd have to score another, probably 40 points from here. Maybe even more than that. Anadi has lost it since being overseas. Says Mitchie, yeah, he was rumoured as that big signing for Moana Pasifika and the guy that was going to be able to change their attack. But he's been a little bit flat. Can we hit 40? They'd only need one more try to do so. So I think 40 is possible, but just not 40 points from now to be able to take first. Nani Lam, no, I read that one about Lamapi. What are you building this week, Amish? I think it's still renovations, but doing a little bit of underfloor insulation as well on Tuesday. I wish they had New Zealand Māori. And this, they better. Most of these sites is bad to the bone. Kiwi Rob was seen eating. Yeah, he came in pretty unfit for the turbos also, says Mitchie. Kick downfield from Tafafunaki. Taken now by William Harvilli. Fires it across to Patrick Pellegrini. Is there one more in the gas tank for Moana Pasifika? Partial charge down kick. Glenn Vaihu chasing after it. Cody Vai offloads on the inside. Picked up by Bowden Barrett. So on the halfway line with the ball in hand for the Blues. Good hands there. He goes to Mason Tupai. How many arms were involved in that tackle attempt? Now Bowden Barrett. Short ball to Sullivan. And come on, Moana, score one more, says Josiah. Now Funaki. Going to the right once more. Quick hands. That's nicely taken by Patrick Pellegrini, though. Be able to rip that ball back for Moana. It is called as a tackle. So the Blues have to release and have to roll out of there too. Lamb has to dig deep into that breakdown. And Mape cleans that one. And now there is going to be the advantage for the Blues just lying all over that ball. Trying to slow it down. William Harvilli off to the right. Now running sideways here. Down the short side it is. Latu. Look for the offload. Grab it forward here for Moana Pasifika. Brilliant hands from Tafafunaki. And they'll go back for the penalty. You should be a commentator. You have my vote. You read these comments. Witness the game and give us the commentary way too well. Says Mitchies. And we've got plenty more coming up next weekend as well. Six Nations has come to a close, but it is not the end of the rugby year. We have got these 5 matches. Now, of these matches, I'm hoping to cover about probably 3 or 4, I would say, depending on what happens cricket-wise. And so I might actually have to play in the semi-final. And then alongside that, we've got the URC. That is going to be coming back next weekend in full effect rather than just the one game like we had for this weekend. And then also some Montevideo Sevens. Yeah, now that's just a blatant shoulder charge. They're from Moana. I don't know if they've shown it on the big screen though, but it is going to be thrown in by Moana Pasifika. You've been warned, says bad to the bone. And come on, Moana, says Toloa Sila, I should say. And another penalty to the Blues in the breakdown. He set up that Tangitau line break. And Tava Nawai has a great cutout pass. And also, when your game is built around bumping off defenders, you get found out pretty quickly. Lamape needs to add more to his game. That's how I feel about Tava Nawai as well. Hope he adds more to his game. And also, we've got there, let's see the table, says Ange. So this is the way that the table was sitting heading into this game. The Blues, with this current result, would sit second in the overall standings. What value do you use on insulation in New Zealand? Now we have to use 30. I'll be honest, I don't actually know. I just put the stuff in normally. But Dad's more so the technical side. He might be joining me for the T20 match, so you'll be able to ask him if he does end up popping on. And we have got there, what did the French talk up? Or why did the French talk up Peter Aki so much, says Jordan? I mean, to be fair, he did all right over there. And how your brother, good to see you. Let's go, says Justin. That ball's kicked dead by the Blues. Just a bit too much on it. Now 5 minutes remaining in this match. The next 3 games for the Blues up against the Waratahs, the Drua, and then the Hurricanes. How's Caleb Clark doing? He's been shut down in this game quite a bit. He hasn't actually had a huge amount of the ball. Couple decent carries, made some meters, but the Blues haven't really gone out to him throughout this matchup. But, you know, quiet enough, but he'll be still pretty happy with what he was able to do throughout the touches he had. And also, Saders will probably beat the Moana pretty convincingly, says Josiah. Saders 8 says Ange, although they've got room for improvement. I would say, free kick goes the way of the Blues at scrum time. Joel Lamb just running that ball away so that they couldn't take it as quickly. Yes, Peter Aki and Lisa Whainanuku being disappointing. French cop must not be as strong as they claim, says the Sporting Kiwi. It's also probably trying to adapt back to Super Rugby's style. Because, of course, in the French top 14, you play a very different role as a centre than you do in Super Rugby. So it might take that little bit longer to be able to find the rhythm again. 2027 is so far away. I don't get why the draw was done so early. Although it wasn't as bad as 2023. That one was done way before anyone was even thinking about the World Cup. And that's very interesting. They talk the big talk. Are these players coming back bad? Says Jordan. Big kick downfield from Moana. Playing a little bit of territory now for the closing moments of this game. Cody Vai. He's going to choose not to kick this one downfield. Now short side. Sam Derry. Now looking for the offload there. Sam Derry passes one more. The Taufa Funaki manages to skip around two. Offload to Mason Tupai. That's one part of the Blues game that's been thoroughly impressive throughout this game. Anton Segner. Oh, that was an ugly shot. That was an old school one like you do on Rugby 08. And that is round the neck of Anton Segner. I think this is going to be a yellow card for William Harville. Yes, it is. He's getting pushed by every single Blues player. Taufa Funaki now getting in there and having a bit of attitude before towards Patrick Pellegrini. My dad knows Quintupai's dad. See, there's a sporting Kiwi there. I see it. That's a brilliant run initially. Right, yellow card, off-field review. I wish Top 14 had more coverage. Yeah, see, the only way to watch it here in New Zealand, I believe, is to... That's a huge shot, by the way. It's a swinging arm from William Harville. Hits him in the throat with the shot. Moana dirty players, says Kiwi Rob. 3-2 next week. We're going to be at 3-3. Right, decision now to be made. Moana are being dirty like the Crusaders were last night. I googled it's R13. Your environment is warmer than mine. Says Robert. I guess that's true because you have mentioned about when you've been in the minuses, haven't you? William Harville going off to the right hand. Oh, sorry, he's going off the field, but the Blues going away to the right hand side with 2 minutes remaining on the clock now. Funaki goes up to Dalton Papali, 2 meters short of the try line. Now, Derry deserves a try for what he's been able to do throughout this game. He's had some very impressive carries. Mason Tupai jumps towards the line, gets it down, and it's another try here for the Blues. Are you losing by 30 points and still doing silly tactics like that? And I wonder Moana always lose. Says Big Rig. Crusaders should have had 2 reds. And now 2 minutes remaining. Mason Tupai, the man who does score the try. And like I said, just that grinding style from the Blues. A Moana home game against the Chiefs is in Rotorua, which is a bit rough, isn't it, really? My parents had Canal Plus, but they are now paying for American streaming services, so I can't watch it anymore. And we get into the minus temperatures here in Blenheim. Says Jordan. And the kick from Bowden Barrett again goes over. It just seems like he needed those easy ones out in front to build his confidence. What's the next commentary, mate? Says Wade. So it is actually taking place in 2 hours' time. And that is going to be the contest between New Zealand and South Africa for the T20. And then after that one, if you're just looking at the rugby side of things, the one after that is on at about 5:20 a.m. New Zealand time. And that is the game of the semi-finals in the New York Sevens between Fiji and Australia. And Blues excelled. Says Moa Hunters. Now 45 seconds remaining on the clock. Moana, they will be happy to see this game end, but I feel like the Blues, they want one more converted try. They'd love to make a statement and get 50 points up against Moana here. Looks like they're just going to use up as much of the time as they can. What's going on here? Okay, they were just trying to work out if a player was on or off. Did you see Fiji smash Spain? I did. Nice redemption there for the Fijian side, although they needed to because or else they would have missed out on the semi-finals. You're watching the cricket? Mio Mio, yes boy. Says Jordan. And what stadium having the Sevens in? It is one in New York. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but it's got like the Red Bull logo on the stadium seats. In South Africa, or South Africa getting owned by New Zealand in the cricket. We're lucky to get 100. And can you tell me how Anton Segner is? He's still out there on the field. I believe, anyway, from what I can see. Yeah, he is, so he's fine. He's back in making more tackles. And Giant Stadium says Robert. But Argentina smashed Fiji. That is true. And those two sides could meet later on in the competition. Of course, for whoever finishes higher, Fiji or South Africa, they will then win the title and have the guaranteed staying on Division 1. Whereas the other side have the chance of relegation. Thanks for your efforts, bro. Says Wade. No worries at all. And yeah, plenty more coming up. Moana Pasifika around the halfway line. As much as they'd love to just boot this ball into touch and call it a day, their pride won't let them. I believe they will look to get one more try here, but it could cost them a try of their own. Loose ball, picked up by Pellegrini. Now it's New York Red Bull Stadium. Now going left-hand side again. There is the siren. Okay, so it was actually a little bit too early. Now, a big collision. Again in the breakdowns. Joel Lamb goes across to Pellegrini. Nari Lamape. Skip pass out wide. Here comes Miracle Whaialangi. Can't get the pass on the inside. Moana Pasifika dirty play, no good. I guess the Blues win. Says Kiwi Rob. Now offloaded again. Oh, it's a hard way to hit your head on the ground. I think that was Nico Jones. By the looks of it, the Blues kick this one out though. And that will be the end of this game. 41 points to 7. The Blues, they move up to second in the overall standings, just behind the Hurricanes. And just ahead of the Brumbies. It's called Sports Illustrated Stadium. No wonder I couldn't remember. I just couldn't think of what brand it was, what company it was that did have the rights. Crusaders should have got 2 rare cards. And Tana played for the Chiefs, says a Sporting Kiwi. And there as well, but nonetheless, 43 points to 7. The end score in this matchup. Fiji and Roa beat the Brumbies. They certainly did. An amazing game for the Fiji and Roa in Fiji. They will want more of those games taking place at Bar, because currently 100% winning rate at that stadium. But yeah, we've got about an hour and 40 minutes time, ladies and gents, until the next live stream. It is going to be the T20 match taking place between New Zealand and South Africa, so be sure to stick around for that. After that, we've got the sevens, though, in the early hours of tomorrow morning. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you all for the next one.